Hi, my name is Matt Hames, and I'm the Associate VP for Digital and Social Strategy at 3 Enrollment Marketing. Today, I want to talk to you about cooking. That's right, cooking. I love to cook. I love going to the internet and searching for recipes and finding new recipes to cook. So, what I would do is I would go type in a recipe idea or just an idea into Google, and what I would get is somebody's long, long, long story about why this dish was their mom's or their great aunt's or their grandma's favorite dish in the world, and you have to just sift through a ton of content to get to the directions. Now, what I didn't notice is that my kids were coming to me and saying, "Can we make this?" And I'd be like, "What's this?" And they would show me a TikTok video, which was a recipe on how to make a thing, right? So my kids who are in the 13 to 17-year-old age range, their first instinct is not to go to Google to search for something. Their first instinct is to go to TikTok and search for something. So they go to TikTok to search for things in the culture. I still go to Google to search for things in the culture. I fundamentally believe that things are changing right now. We're on the precipice of changing. There are a bunch of 13 to 17-year-olds who are both using TikTok and the AI assistant in Snapchat to find things. We, the older people of the world, use Google both as a noun and a verb. So Google is a thing, and Google is also a way that you search the internet. I'm going to Google that thing. Google is the foundation of everything. We look at the internet, we look at .coms and .edus are found by Google. The number one way that new people, the majority of new people who come to a .edu, come from organic search. It is the bedrock, the foundation of how the internet works, especially in higher ed. It's the foundation of how things work in recipes for me. It is not the foundation of how things work for my kids or your kids. If they've ever come to you and said, "Mom, Dad, let's make this dish that I saw on TikTok," you're aware of this change. So, what does that mean to you? It means a lot of things. It means already the search for knowledge, which Google has basically owned on the internet, is changing. And AI is changing that search for knowledge. If you can go to Google and say, or if you can go to an AI, and say, "Tell me how to make X," I don't have to sift through the backstory of how important X was to your family. And by the way, all that content that you have to sift through is SEO content that gets them higher up in search rankings. That's the game, right? You have to read about how grandma did this recipe back in Tuscany, and learned it from their mom back in Tuscany, and how your desire to eat this kind of food evolved as you grew up and you had kids, and all this ridiculous backstory is for SEO purposes. But if you go to ChatGPT or Google Bard and you say, "How do I make X?" you're just going to get the results. And this is the important part. You're not going to go to a website, right? So the people who are winning the Google search for that recipe right now are making money on that return. So when you go to that website and you read through their backstory, you're being fed ads, you're being fed content that tries to convince you to buy something. That's the business. But that entire business breaks down when you just get the responses and when you just get the recipe and the instructions on how to cook it inside of the AI. So what does this really mean for higher ed? It means that things are drastically changing. So you can't really go to Google right now and type in, tell me the schools in New York State," because what you'll get is you'll just get like a U.S. News and World Report. You'll get review sites. You'll get basically just third-party sites that have listicled out all of the schools. You won't get a bunch of URLs to .edus from Google. So the broader the question, the less Google is really good for you, because then you got to sift through all that information. You got to go to the review sites, and then you got to do all the work, right? So nobody does that because nobody wants to do all that work. But an AI will do all that work for you. So you can type into an AI, give me a list of New York State schools, higher education school, like institutes of higher education. Then you can start to use that to whittle it down within. So you can say, give me a list of privates, give me a list of publics, give me the acceptance rate, give me all the information that you need to make an informed decision that you cannot currently ask Google. The whole point of this, right? The internet grew up using Google. Once Google indexed the internet and built a button that says, I'm feeling lucky, we all understood that that was how the internet worked. We went to Google first. Let me Google that. I'm going to Google that. You're sitting talking to a friend and you're just like, who was the guy who was in that movie? Let me Google that. All of that stuff trained us, and the internet basically built around Google to send content. So we built a .edu to win a Google search for the school. Nothing, all of that is perfectly fine, right? Except for the fact that everything is changing. So the fundamental shift, if I can just go back to recipes, the shift is our kids are not using Google in the same way that we did. So just be aware of that. It is easy to search TikTok for something. It is easy to use the Snapchat AI for something. And our kids are being trained to no longer Google something. That doesn't mean that they're not going to completely. I'm not saying that Google is going away, because they are going to evolve as well. And the important thing for us is to evolve with them, to understand how people are using the internet, to understand how people are starting their journeys. Starting the journey is the biggest thing. That is the fundamental shift. And understanding that shift is going to be the thing that we try to do in the next little while. So AI is here, and it's changing. AI is here, and it's going to change the way search. But the way search works has already been fundamentally changed by platforms like TikTok. So don't be sitting there thinking, well, I still Google everything, because that isn't the case. And honestly, if you want to start to make recipes without having to read through the, the entire backstory of the person who put the recipe there, you can start using ChatGPT or Google Bard to ask questions like, give me some recipes from a region. Give me some dishes from a region. Now give me the recipes. It's all there. You too can start to change how you use the internet. And because there's the interesting part is the plumbing of the internet based entirely on Google search is going to fundamentally change in the next little while. If you are changing with it, you're going to be fine. If you're not changing with it, I don't know what to tell you. So thanks for watching. This is a really exciting time. This is stuff that we're going to talk about at the Institute for Higher Education, June 4th to 8th in Clearwater Beach. It's coming up. If you're interested in learning more, go to 3enrollment.com/institute. If you're interested in learning more about AI, we're definitely going to do some webinars in the next little while to talk about this. We are thinking about this deeply at 3Enrollment Marketing, and we're thinking about your place in an internet where people search differently. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.